Hey there Star Wars fans, and welcome back to Astromech Productions, a Star Wars and LEGO Star Wars YouTube channel. In today's episode, I'm going to be going over every LEGO Star Wars Battle of Naboo set. In this new series I'm starting, I'll be talking about every set from every major battle in every Star Wars movie. Starting today with the major battle in Star Wars The Phantom Menace, the Battle of Naboo. Let's get straight into it. So our first category of sets is the Naboo N1 Starfighter. Now we first saw the set back in 1999. It was called the Naboo Fighter. It was set 7141, cost $20, had 179 pieces and contained 4 minifigures. Now this was a kind of fairly rudimentary set, obviously because it's 1999. You got 2 battle droids, Anakin, R2 and the vehicle, but it was an okay set for the time. Our second set is the Naboo N1 Starfighter with Vulture Droid. Was set 7660, came out in 2007, cost $30 or £30, had 280 pieces and 3 minifigures. This set was it came with a Vulture Droid, which was quite a nice little addition. And this was when I'd say the Naboo Starfighters, the design started to look up. The design hasn't really changed much since this one, but obviously there have been little improvements, but this design and the ship was quite solid. The next set was the Naboo Starfighter, was set 7877, came out in 2011 for $50 or £50, had 318 pieces and 6 minifigures. Again, this was a really good set. I wouldn't say that the design has pretty much changed at all since then. Looks to be quite a strong design. You get a droid because, well, you get a nice little kind of cart side build, so that was a really nice iteration. You then had the Naboo Starfighter set 75092, came out in 2015 for $50 or £55, had 442 pieces and 9 minifigures. This is obviously the epitome of the Naboo Starfighters. You got, as I said, 7 minifigures. You got like a ladder, a little kind of cart thing, fueling pump, weapons locker, everything. This is such a cool sleek build, and you also get like a stand thing to put it on to rest it. It's like a dock item, and obviously you've got the correct pilot, which you haven't had before. Finally, we did have the UCS Special Edition Naboo Starfighter set 10026 from back in 2002. That cost $40 and had 187 pieces. Obviously no minifigures. This was obviously a larger set. It was the one with the chrome on it, which is really cool. This isn't the kind of set that you get as a play set. You did get the R2 head for it, but it's just too big, and also nowadays it's really expensive. But that was a really nice set. So if you were looking to get one of these to make your own Battle of Naboo, I'd certainly recommend going for the 2015 75092 Naboo Starfighter. That is definitely the best one. You get such a good array of minifigures and side builds. Really nice that you get the correct pilot. It's something that's very, you can use a lot of times. You can replace the R2 unit if you've got spare ones. Overall, I think that's a really good set and at a really good price. So if you can find it for a good price, I'd say certainly go for that one if you're building a LEGO Star Wars Naboo battle kind of landscape thing. But that pretty much rounds up all of our Naboo Starfighters. Our next category is the Flash Speeder. This was kind of like the defense speeder of the Royal Naboo Guard, and we've seen this twice. First time was set Flash Speeder, was set 7124, came out in 2000 for $10, had 106 pieces and 1 minifigures. As you can expect from a set that came out in 2000, this was very rudimentary, very big built. Okay for the time, I guess, but certainly not a set that you want to get nowadays. It's a nice little set, but it's only 1 minifigure. It's a yellow face, quite bit built, so compared to today's standards, really not great. The second set was the Flash Speeder set 75091, came out in 2015 for $30 or £35. Had 312 pieces and 5 minifigures. I personally own this set, and it's one of my favourite sets. It's sleek, it's beautiful, the way they have like the curved pieces in it. It's got 2 really nice minifigures, comes with opposing battle droids. You've got a Gungan General. It's a really nice set. So obviously if you were doing a Naboo battle, this is 100% the one you want to get. This isn't the kind of one you'd have multiple of, or you would, but you'd only have kind of 2 or 3 of them in the battle. They only had 2 or 3 of them. Something like the Naboo Starfighter, you'd obviously, you want to get like 10, whereas this you wouldn't want that many. It's not actually used that much, but you certainly would want some if you are making a Naboo battle. But that is a really, really nice set, and I'd highly recommend it even if you're not making Naboo battle, because both those sets, but especially the second one, are really cool sets. Our next category is the Gungan category, and there's only actually one set in this category. That is the Gungan Patrol set 7115. Came out in the year 2000 for $10. Had 77 pieces and 2 minifigures. This is certainly a set you want if you were making a Naboo battle, but you again certainly want to replace some of the pieces. So you'd want to replace both of the Gungans in it, I'd say, and there are obviously quite a few sets on this list. You do include Gungan warriors and maybe like Jar Jar and Gungan generals and stuff, and you can certainly replace them. And there may be a few other pieces you'd want to replace just to make it a bit sleeker. But you would certainly want to include these simply because they're such a core part of the main Battle of Naboo. And it's a nice enough little set. It's just not the best in the world, obviously, because it came out in 2000. It'd be cool if Lego re-released this, but I doubt they'll do it anytime soon. But that's pretty much all the Gungan Battle of Naboo sets that we have. So we now move on to our Trade Federation sets, starting with the Vulture Droids. We've seen this twice. The Trade Federation ones, that is, not the Separatist ones. The first time was the Droid Fighter. It was set 7111. Came out in 1999 for $6 and had 62 pieces. This was, as you'd expect from the time, a very, very rudimentary brick built Vulture Droid. It's not a particularly great set. There's no movability, there's no moving parts. It's certainly not something that could hold up today. There's some nice sticker action in there, but it's really not something that's a great set. We've also got the Naboo N1 Starfighter with Vulture Droid, set 7660. Came out in 2007 for $30 or £30. Had 280 pieces and 3 minifigures. This one was a much better Vulture Droid, but still not great. Obviously, it was that 2007 model, so nothing really like the one we've got today. Not as many moving parts, so it didn't look great. If you do want the Vulture Droids, I would certainly go for the 2007 one. The only downside is you do have to buy it in conjunction with the Naboo Starfighter, which would certainly bump up the price. This is another set that I really wish Lego would re-release because it's such a nice set, and they've only been doing Separatist ones recently. Obviously the Separatist ones are more famous and more well known, but it would be cool to get another one of these Phantom Menace ones. But that wraps up all of our Vulture Droid sets. Our next category is the Battle Droid Carriers. There are 3 of these sets. The first one was the Battle Droid Carrier, set 7126. Came out in 2001 for $10. Had 133 pieces and 7 minifigures. This is like all those early 2000 sets, a very rudimentary book-built set. You only get 7 Battle Droids. You also have the old style of gun, and it's not a particularly good-looking Battle Droid set. It's very kind of blockish, not particularly accurate, because obviously we don't see this in the movie, but from kind of any art or stuff we've seen of it, it's got some interesting pieces in there. It just doesn't really, cut it compared to today, certainly. We've then got the Battle of Naboo, set 7929, came out in 2011 for $25 or £26, had 241 pieces and 12 minifigures this time, so a fair increase. This one was a really, really good set. It was on the small side, but really, really nice. You got Jar Jar in there as well, and another Gungan warrior, which was really cool. And then you got a fair amount of space for storing Battle Droids. Maybe not the most space-saving space. I think they probably could have done it in a better way, so that you could get double the amount of Battle Droids on there. It's unfortunate they didn't, but to be honest, it still looks fine and still acts fine as a set. The third one was the Battle Droid Troop Carrier, set 75086, came out in 2015 for $40 or £40, had 565 pieces and cost £15. This was the biggest one we've seen, and it was certainly the best one we've seen. You got 12 standard Battle Droids and 2 pilot droids, and then you also got a Gungan warrior, and this one did really well on fitting as many battle droids in as you could. You actually got more battle droids in this set than on the most recent MTT, which is actually pretty cool. So if you were doing a Battle of Naboo scape, I would certainly get maybe 5 or 6 of those most recent battle droid troop carriers, and then maybe 2 or 3 of the 2011 Battle of Naboo carriers, because I think those sets are both fairly similar, but obviously this later one is slightly bigger. But I think you could work quite well having the different sizes. That could look quite nice in a set, but I would certainly get the most recent one if you're looking for them. And also it's a really quick, cheap way to get a lot of battle droids, which is really nice. Our next section is the MTTs, starting off with the Trade Federation MTT set 7184, came out in the year 2000 for $50 or £78, had 470 pieces and 7 minifigures. This was, again, like all of those early 2000 sets, a very rudimentary, very brick built MTT. You didn't get very many battle droids in it, and the functionality in the droids coming out wasn't particularly good. It's an okay set, it's obviously quite an iconic old one, but the colouring's all off, and you know, it certainly does not hold up today. If you were making a modern day Naboo battle, I certainly would not be looking to get this set if I were you. The second MTT, however, is the Trade Federation MTT set 7662, came out in 2007 for $100, had 1,330 and 21 minifigures, so 3 times as many minifigures as the previous one, and this one is an absolute behemoth of a set. If you know anything about LEGO Star Wars, you know this set is absolutely legendary. It's got so many battle droids in it, it's so cool, the functionality is great, it looks really good, it really still holds up to today. This is an absolutely amazing MTT, and in my opinion it's certainly the best one. It's so cool. However, given that the price is way up there nowadays, so it's really hard to get your hands on, but it is such a good set. The final MTT that we got is the MTT set 75058, came out in 2014 for $90 or £90, had 954 pieces and 12 minifigures, so a lot less. And this has unfortunately gone down as one of the worst remakes in history for LEGO Star Wars, and I can certainly see why. It is way smaller, you get 6 kind of areas, 6 spaces to put your battle droids. The functionality just isn't there. It looks sleeker, I guess, but it just hasn't got it. And I understand why LEGO did it. They wanted to make a downsized version. They wanted to make it more accessible for people who couldn't pay for the bigger one. And you know, I can see that. Certainly for myself, I struggled to buy the bigger set simply because they're just too expensive. But I would certainly like to see the return of the giant MTT. And if you're doing your own Battle of Naboo, I'm going to obviously break from tradition here and say go for the 2007 one. The 2007 one is way better. If you can find it cheaply, maybe even if it doesn't have all the battle droids, you can put your own in, but certainly go for that 2007 one because it is way better. You can go for the 2014 one if you want, you just won't get that same feel, especially as it's more kind of on size with the battle droid carriers, and maybe the MTT just dwarfs the battle droid carriers. So certainly go for the 2007 one. In my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, it's certainly the best one. Okay, so our penultimate category and our last specific sided category is the AAT. We've seen this twice. First was the Trade Federation AAT, set 7155, came out in 2000 for $20, had 158 pieces and 2 minifigures. This was again a very rudimentary brick built set, blocky, not particularly good, the functionality is not there. We did only get 2 minifigures with the set, which wasn't great. But you know, at least they were 2 battle droids. I think they can fit in the set, but I'm not sure. And if they can, they can't fit the whole way. This isn't really a very good set at all, in my opinion. But it, you know, it's got the size there, so it was a decent size. It's got some nice pentagon there, so I guess it was okay. We've then got the AAT set 75080, came out in 2015 for $25 or £25. Had 251 pieces and 3 minifigures. This was, again, one of the most hated sets in LEGO Star Wars history, but I personally, looking back, actually think it's quite good. It was a massive downscale from the 2009 AAT, and it also wasn't Clone Wars, which I think why a lot of people disliked it. But now looking at it compared to the, again, small 2020 AAT, I think this one handled the small size a lot better. I actually think it was quite good. You did only get one battle droid, but you got Jar Jar and a battle droid pilot, so I think that was fine. And I think, you know, it was a decent set. If you're going for Naboo battle, certainly go for the 2015 AAT. Now that's the size of the 2001, but I don't think that's really a problem when you look at, you know, how not bad but outdated the 2001 is. So I certainly think that the 2015 AAT is the better one for your Naboo, and if you're just going for a general set, out of those two, certainly go for the later one. Our final category is the duels. The only set we've got from this is the Duel and Naboo. Set 75169 came out back in 2017 for $25 or £20. Had 208 pieces and 3 minifigures. This was obviously Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon versus Darth Maul. It's a nice little set, quite compact. You get all the stuff you need in there. The minifigures are really good, and you may not want to necessarily have this set when you're doing the Battle of Naboo, and that's okay because it's not really part of the main Battle of Naboo, but it would be a cool set to have in there. You know, it's fairly cheap. You can probably still get it fairly cheaply, so you know, I'd say go for it. And you may want to put just some little build to enter into the main battle, but I would certainly get that if I was building it, but it's not a main part of the battle, so you don't really have to. And that concludes basically all of our categories: vehicles, duels, ships for the Battle of Naboo. So guys, if you enjoyed this kind of video, do let me know down in the comments, and I'll make sure to cover all the battles outside just the main movie ones, because it's really fun videos to make. You know, obviously I'm making mocks, or even if you're not, it's fun to see what sets are from particular battles. If you haven't already, subscribe, like, and turn your post notification bells on. It really helps me out. May the force be with you, and I'll see you next time on Astromech Productions.